Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? It's a simple question. Why are Democrats having such a, it's a hard time answering the question of whether you were better. What I'm willing to say about the last 4 years is that I'm Allen Barton. Stand by for the front page. Joining me in studio, Terry Jones, Associate Editor of Investors Business Daily, and Rituparna Basu with the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights. All right, guys. During the Republican National Convention, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan went on offense, going after President Obama's record by asking voters if they were better off now than they were 4 years ago. They were echoing Reagan, of course. It seems like the Obama team is having a hard time responding to this. Let's take a look.
Let me just ask you that then. Can you honestly say that people are better off today than they were 4 years ago?
No, but David, can you honestly say that the average American is better off today than they were 4 years ago?
Here's what I can say, Chris. I can say that we're in a better position than we were 4 years ago in our economy, in the sense that when this president took office, we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. The quarter before he took office was the worst quarter that this country has had economically since the Great Depression. And we are in a different place. 29 straight months of job growth, 4.5 million private sector jobs. Are we where we need to be? No.
And those were the good answers. You had some answers this weekend that were just like, no, we're not better off, but we're better positioned to have a future that may harken back to the past that we all don't want to go back to. But it was a mess. It was a mess. Why are they having such a hard time? This is the easiest question, in a sense, like the most predictable question that's going to come. And they were all like,
It is predictable, and they don't have a good answer for it, because they always preface it by saying, can you honestly say? And the fact of the matter is, no, they can't. By any major measure, people are worse off. Look, we have higher unemployment, 8.3%. We have fewer jobs out there. We have 47 million people on food stamps. There's a whole raft of measures out there.
Gas prices up, manufacturing down,
food prices have hit all-time record highs.
Up, food stamps up, every metric.
You can go down a long list, and people, and quite frankly, median incomes have fallen for families over the last 4 years. So there really is no gilding the lily here. I mean, this is a very bad economy, and they've done virtually nothing to improve it.
Ritu, what do you think? Obviously, the comeback is, it was so bad. We had no idea how bad it was. It was just so bad. You got to give us a minimum of 8 years, if not amend the Constitution to go to 12 or 16 years to get this thing. What do you think of this?
I mean, I think it depends what your definition of better is. And their definition of better, if anyone's definition of better is to spread the wealth around, then yeah, you can judge someone based on that. But that's usually not what people are thinking. People are thinking, am I able to, get more with the same money? Is my income going up, or is it getting gobbled down by healthcare costs and et cetera? And if that's, so it depends on your standard. Their standard is, we want to spread the wealth around. We want to take it for some people who have more and give it to people who don't, for whatever they want. That's their standard. And they can't openly say that. So that's why they're...
Right. Now, it took them a while, but Obama campaign manager Stephanie Cutter finally found the answer. Let's take a look.
And let me begin by starting with that central question on a lot of people's minds, and that is, are we better off today than we were 4 years ago when President Obama was elected? Absolutely.
Absolutely. We are better off.
Nicely done.
We're just better off. I don't know. Metrics? Look, what I'm willing to say, they always do that. When they ask the question, it's like, what I'm willing to say, after they issue the big lie, of course. I mean, what do you think they can do to try to explain this a little better? Let's try to help them out here a little bit. We're always taking them to task. Let's help them out. What do you think they could say? I mean, it's not an invalid argument to say, literally, at the time of the election in 2008, we were going off a precipice of panic, financial sector collapse, real estate collapse. it's not invalid to say it was far worse than we imagined it would be.
Yes.
How would you try to tailor this argument?
Well, if were I them, I would do exactly what they've been doing, which is saying exactly what you said, and that is that things were so bad when we came in, we didn't realize how bad it was until we turned the rocks over and saw all the bugs and realized it was much worse than we thought, and that's what they've been saying. But look, this is a bad thing to bad case to make, because if you go back to Reagan and gentlemen of a certain age, me included, recall that when Reagan came in. Interest rates were at 21%, inflation was at 13%, unemployment was over 10%, and everybody said the economy was collapsing. It was the worst economy since the Depression, and it turned around on a dime. After about a year and a half of tax cuts and patient-fed policy, it turned around. It could happen again, but this administration has willfully stood in the way and stopped anything from happening that might actually get the economy going again.
All right, Ritu, the other story here of the Democratic Convention, conveniently timed for the national debt to cross over to $16 trillion. Did that on the opening day of the DNC, which is kind of symbolic, isn't it? Obama has added, what, 8 trillion, 10 trillion? How much has he added?
5 trillion.
5 trillion in 4 years, that's right. Very impressive, very impressive. But obviously they're not talking about debt, and when they're called on it, they're talking about, well, they have to stabilize the debt. Did you hear that over the weekend? Yes. We're going to stabilize it. We got to stabilize it before we, whatever nonsense that is. But what do we think in terms of national debt as a factor underlying all these discussions of the economy?
I mean, we're going broke. Everyone knows that. We could be Greece right now. We probably will be Greece in 15, 20, 25 years down the road. We all know that. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we willing to do anything about it? And really, on both sides of the aisle, there aren't any serious spending reductions proposed. The massive entitlement programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, they're all third rails.
Even Paul Ryan's plan only brings it back to, 19% of GDP as spending, which is the historical norm after World War II. Mm-hmm. So it's not even this dramatic cut they're acting.
And that's what we have to be questioning. We have to be questioning these programs, but people are not willing to really ask those hard questions. And so you're not going to see that debt go down if you're not willing to challenge and ultimately phase out those very, very expensive programs.
All right, well, coming to Obama's defense was crazy Joe Biden, the vice president. He had this to say. Let's take a look.
Hey, I got a bumper sticker for y'all. Okay? Osama bin Laden's dead and General Motors is alive. Osama bin Laden is dead and General Motors is alive. Y'all want a bumper sticker? That's a bumper sticker. Kind of sums it up.
It's so spontaneous, too, because I saw a different clip with a different crowd behind him, of him saying the exact same thing with that little thoughtfulness. I got a bumper sticker for you. This guy, the old heartbeat away from the presidency?
That's a scary
thought. Oh, my. Oh, my.
You notice he got all folksy there with the y'all.
Y'all, yeah. He gets all folksy whenever he needs to because he's a man of the people. Yeah. But the idea General Motors is alive. Speak to that. I mean, Osama's death, I got no problem. I'm glad he did it. It was developed with intelligence that goes back 8 years to the Bush years and brave guys in special forces. I'm glad he okayed it. He gets credit for okaying it. But I got no problem there.
I agree.
General Motors is alive.
I don't have any problem with the fact that Osama bin Laden is dead, and that I don't care which president ultimately made the order to do it. But that said, General Motors is on life support. It's not alive, and it's only in its current form because the Obama administration massively subsidized it to the tune of $50 billion, transferred a lot of its assets into the hands of unions, screwed the bondholders, and forced it to make cars that they wanted it to make. And if you look at GM, it's not gaining market share in any radical sense. Its costs are still sky high. And chances are pretty good it's going to be meeting up with the bankruptcy judge in sometime in the future.
Yeah, Ritu, I mean, there is this notion they're taking a lot of credit for the auto industry, particularly because of the votes in Ohio and Michigan. That's a political no-brainer. But what do you think of this idea that they kind of bypassed a normal bankruptcy? I mean, there are bankruptcy proceedings in this country that you can go through. GM could have gone through a normal bankruptcy and probably emerged with a reduced company and different plans and different cars or whatever. What do you think of this notion that, hey, we fixed GM, we fixed the auto industry, and now we're going to go fix a lot of other industries?
I mean, this whole notion that things could have been worse off, and thank God we were here to help. I mean, it's sad, I think, that the standard now is, well, things could be worse. We're going to make it a little less worse, hopefully, for you. It should be, well, how can we radically improve this economy? How can we get people back working? How can we, free up businesses to feel free to create and innovate and take risks? That's not what they're talking about. Their standard is very, very low, and that's the real sad thing in this election.
All right, guys, good conversation. That's all the time we have. Thanks for being here. For Terry and Rituparna, I'm Allen Barton, and you've been watching Front Page.